Question be now put.
I'll call Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment or supplementary order paper put by my colleague Mr. Parker is a very important one. We don't often debate in this House, and certainly outside of it, constitutional principles. We understand, most of us who are here, our role as parliamentarians, which is to pass laws and provide some scrutiny and oversight of the government of the day when they are putting up laws, and to some extent initiate laws ourselves. But when we are faced with a proposed law such as this, that takes away the scrutiny of Parliament, then we have to tread and approach it extraordinarily cautiously. And particularly when, or more so, when it is about the international obligations that we enter into. All of the international agreements that we enter into are required, if they are to have any force, either internationally or locally, must come to this House for ratification. That is standard. That is standard international law. So it defies explanation when we see in this legislation a proposal that an agreement, admittedly, that we already have entered into, but an agreement which, if the government of the day wishes to amend it or wishes to agree to amend it in the international forum in which it operates, should not come back to this House. There is no explanation, nor could there be, for that course of action. So, Sir, Mr. Parker's amendment is absolutely crucial when it comes to constitutional principles and the way we operate. We don't have the checks and balances that many other countries, many other members of the IMF have. We don't have a second house to keep the executive in check. We don't have court oversight, Supreme Court or Court of Appeal or High Court oversight of the lawmaking functions of this Parliament. That is the Westminster way, that's the Westminster system. And subject to what the current lengthy constitutional review might come up with, it is unlikely that will change. And so the only check and balance we have on the power of the executive and what it does in the name of all New Zealanders, whether locally or on the international stage, is what happens in this Parliament, is the ability for parliamentarians of whatever colour, of whatever origin, of whatever part of the country, to come together, whether in this House or in the select committees, to provide oversight and scrutiny of what the executive or any member of it has done or is doing or has agreed to, in this case, in the very important international forum of the IMF. And so, sir, when the legislation says that the government of the day can, by order in council, agree to and register and record amendments to the important documents that make up our membership of the IMF, the fund agreement, the bank agreement, the text of the corporation agreement, the text of the convention, when we start getting down to that end, things that in any other context and in any other forum would require ratification or validation by this Parliament, then it's time to stop where we are and take a step back. And for that reason, sir, Labor is saying this is a step too far by the executive when it comes to putting in the hands of the executive the power to make these changes without the scrutiny and oversight of Parliament, without the ability for this Parliament and members of it to debate it, to come up with alternatives, to challenge unwise steps, then that is bordering on, if not indeed usurping, the power of this Parliament and certainly the members in it. And so sir, we say boldly and unequivocally that Clause 4, which is amending Section 10 of the Act, the 1961 Act, is simply a step too far, and it should not proceed at all. And in doing so, it doesn't compromise the real objective of this bill, which is to allow the changes that have been agreed to so far to proceed and to have the approval of this House. But the idea that upon approving recently, when I say recently in the last 5 years, of course, recently agreed changes to the IMF statutes and the IMF texts, to say that, having agreed on that, we should then give carte blanche power to the executive to agree to changes. Mr Chairman.
I call Jami-Lee Ross.
Be now put.
The question is that the question be now put. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The party vote's called for. Ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
14 opposed.
New Zealand First.
7 opposed.
Māori Party.
3 in favour.
Mana.
1 opposed.
ACT New Zealand.
1 in favour.
United Future.
1 in favour.
Brendan Horan.
1 vote opposed.
Members, the ayes are 64, the noes are 57. The question will be put. We have a typescript amendment in the name of David Parker, the Honourable David Parker, to delete clause 4. This is out of order as a direct negative of the question, the proper course of action in this case is for the party to vote against clause 4, and this is covered by McGee, page 217, and Speaker's Rulings 59/6 and Speaker's Rulings 115/6. So the question is that clause 4 stand part. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. A party vote's called for. Ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
14 opposed.
New Zealand First.
7 opposed.
Māori Party.
3 in favour.
Mana.
1 opposed.
ACT New Zealand.
1 in favour.
United Future.
1 in favour.
Brendan Horan.
1 opposed.
Members, the ayes are 64, the noes are 57. Clause 4 will stand part. Members, the time has come for me to leave the chair for the dinner break. This debate is interrupted. I shall resume the chair at 7:30.